everybody. Welcome back to Let's Be Honest. Today, I want to talk about something that I personally went through when we were transitioning in quarantine, back to work, kind of still working from home. And it was what I considered an identity crisis. So, for me, when I was working from home, I was a mom, I was an employee, I was a wife, I was a whole bunch of people in one person, and it was a lot, but I just kind of got through it because we had to at the time, right? But I went back to work at about June of last year, and as soon as I got there, I felt like myself again. And when I was there, I realized how much of myself I consider my work persona, and then there's my mom persona. And it was so nice being back to work that I didn't want to go back home. And it was like, when I'm at work, I'm really cool, and people think what I do is interesting and important. And then I come home and I'm just mom, and nobody cares. Nothing that I do is impressive. You don't win an award for like best laundry folded. So I wanted to talk about that feeling of losing your identity when you aren't able to do the things that you love. And I have a special guest today, a really good friend of mine, Laura Boyer, who I happen to work with, and she just inspires me all the time. And she's such an empowering person, and her passion is helping other people fulfill their dreams and achieve their goals. So I know she was kind of going through the same scenario as me last year. So I wanted to have her on, and welcome Laura Boyer.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Robin. This is really exciting. You set a really big stage there, so it's a lot to fill. But I'm really excited about what we're talking about, because I know we've talked about several things that are, I think, very important or passionate to us. But I think this is something that, in talking with you about it, when we just kind of stumbled across the conversation and found that, like, see, I'm not alone. I'm not the only one that feels this way, because you also have felt so many of the things that I had been feeling for many months now. I mean, it's been about exactly a year since we got into lockdown. So I'm really glad to be here. So thanks for having me. And I'm looking forward to this chat.
Yeah, I think it's good because it's not something that I even realized was a problem until I got back to work and back to what felt like my old life. And then all of a sudden I was like, anything I can do to stay late here so I don't have to go back home where I feel like a nobody. I was doing that. And then eventually my husband was like, can we like talk about this? What's going on? And I said, you know what? I don't feel like I'm somebody just by being a mom, which doesn't discredit how much I love being a mom and my kids, but it's a thankless job. And and when quarantine was going on,
I think that's
forced to lose that and just be everybody.
And I think, like you kind of said, you didn't even realize it. And I think it took me until good 6-7 months into quarantine to be like, why am I so off? Like, I know, okay, yes, we're in a global pandemic and there's a lot of crazy things happening in our world right now. But I also felt like I knew that in my heart of hearts, I wasn't myself, and I could not pinpoint it. And having similar discussions with my husband, the poor guy, I mean, God bless my husband for putting up with me, trying to figure out what was going on in my head. It's been, like you said, you go to work and you feel like you have something to give to the world, and you have talents and skills, and people show appreciation for that. And it's very fulfilling. I didn't realize how much of my fulfillment, like the biggest proportion, almost 100% of my fulfillment, was coming from my career and my job. So when that got taken away and I had to be home, now what I love about my job, I think what gives me the fulfillment is the personal interaction. It's being with groups of people. It's seeing aha moments. It's having conversations where we collaborate and we come to solutions together, and seeing people get excited about some ideas I might have for them. That's the stuff that just makes me really psyched. And I leave, an office or a conversation or a meeting with people, and I walk out of there like, let's do more of that, And when you get to the point where I'm doing it like this on Zoom and Google Meets all the time, you just miss that special piece. I'm still in this space where it's hard to shut it off and then go be mom and just walk 10 feet from my home office to my kitchen and turn off who I am at work and become mom at home. Now I'm a mom of 3 teenagers. I have 2 17-year-old boy-girl twins, and I have a 14-year-old boy, and they don't need me at all. I mean, talk about not feeling like you're helping anybody. These kids just don't want anything to do with me. So it's been a challenge to figure out, what am I worth if I don't have my job?
And for some people, it's
the big question.
It's not work. Some people, it's traveling was taken away, hobbies were taken away, sports, especially for like performers and professional athletes, like that's 100% what they do. And you're just forced to like be somebody else and figure it out. And I think what's really important to realize is now you have to learn how to deal with the silence. And for me, it was first realizing, okay, I'm not okay. Something is not right. And it never occurred to me because I always just went on to the next hobby or went to work, and I didn't have to be alone with those thoughts. But realizing, okay, what do I do now? Because what if this does continue for a long time? How do I cope with that?
Yeah. And I love that you said, I'm not okay. And I think you said it before, like, it's okay to admit that you're not okay.
Yeah.
And that took some time for me too. And I don't think it was until about November, I think beginning November, that I was like, I'm really not okay. Now I'm a person that's been doing personal development for 8 years-ish. Like I've been, and not just, reading books in general speaking, but I've been to conferences and I've traveled for them, and I've been in seminars, and I've dove into the work, and I've done my gratitude journals and vision boards, and I do all these things, and I'm a growth mindset person. But it got to the point for me that it was like, okay, I can't coach myself out of this. Like, why, what's wrong with me? Why can't I coach myself out of this? And it's hard to admit it, but also it's okay to ask for that help, because in my 4 walls, nobody was helping me out of that. I needed to get that outside source of somebody that could say, what's wrong? Like, what am I not getting here? And is it okay to feel not okay? And it is. And that's been the biggest thing that's been better for me, and that it may never go back to the way it was.
I think it's about making the best of the situation that you're in, and whatever that looks like for you, find a coping mechanism. Like for me, what I do at my job is very much problem solving and creating new solutions to everyday problems. So I had to do something that made me feel good about myself without the praise. And the only thing for me is when I accomplish something that I didn't know I could do, I don't need anybody's approval or support. I'm just proud I did something amazing for myself. So doing something that makes you feel
I've learned
worth it.
And being able to get that within yourself, and like give yourself your own affirmation that you've done something well. Like you, I was searching for what would bring me some joy and peace and things that made me feel like I was accomplished. And I had to look towards, what are the things I've always wanted to do? I've had a bucket list of things, and that bucket list is just, it's like to kick the can down the road. I want to learn guitar. So let's pick up guitar. And I was playing 20 minutes a day, just giving myself 20 minutes and plucking along on this guitar that I got as a gift about 12 years ago, that has been sitting in my house that I haven't used. So working on some of that, but then also saying it's okay if I don't want to play right now, because then me being this, I have to like make routine to do anything successful. I was like, well, if I don't do 20 minutes a day, then I'm not going to be good at this. And I had to give myself that grace to say, you know what, if I don't want to play guitar for this day or this week, That's okay too.
Yep.
And that's been a challenge for me to accept that. What motivates me is very much external sources.
Yeah.
People I'm with, I feed off that energy a lot, like you're saying performers do. There's that when you're in a room, the excitement, the energy, the conversation is just something it's hard to replace.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
how do we bear this and still feel fulfilled and like ourselves, or how do we redefine ourselves? That's the
Yeah.
question.
And what I've learned in therapy, when you have those really hard emotions, keep diving into them, because it's those deep thoughts that going to work, doing our hobby, we can easily avoid because we don't have to sit home and think about them. But once you're alone with those thoughts, it's like, I really need to deal with this issue because there's no escape. I can't just distract myself and go do something. So
Right.
it makes you wonder, do we lose our identity, or do we find who we really are that we've been avoiding in these hobbies and these things that we love?
That's a really good, yeah,
Because
yeah. That's a
it's
really
easy
good
to just
question. I
jump
sometimes,
out and take care of somebody else, but you got to take care of yourself too.
right, right. I had an interesting conversation with my therapist. Imagine your life like you're standing by the edge of a stream, and every thought that goes through your head, you can place on a leaf in that stream. So as things flow down, it's okay to let the thoughts flow by, flow in, out, in your head, out of your head. Like not every thought has to be paid attention to. Not every thought requires an action on your part. And that's where I get caught up. And I said, jokingly, I said, as soon as you're describing this to me, I'm picturing myself at the side of the stream, gathering up all the leaves, because it's like, oh, no, I missed that one. Wait, what does that one say? No, that's an email. I got to
Yeah.
return that email. No, I got to call that person back, and I can't let that one go. And it's like, hold on a minute. What is wrong with this scenario?
What would be the best tip you could give somebody who maybe is struggling with not knowing what to do when they can't do what they love to do?
And that's something that I'm still really working on to find for myself. I think take a moment and think about what you really want to do in any given moment. If you can't do what you've always done, I think it's looking for some small moments to yourself, whether it's, hiding away in the corner of the house, or just taking a ride and going to a park and bringing a cup of coffee or tea with you, and just bringing a book and getting outside. I think that was the
Yeah.
biggest thing. I know we've talked about moving every day, like
Move. Yeah. Get up and move.
move. You don't realize it, but get up and move. And there's been times where I haven't left this house in 4 days, and I just run to the store, and I was like,
Yeah.
this is so great. Where else can I go? So
Yeah.
move, get yourself out of the house. And even if you find 30 minutes, even if it's just a drive around the block, now that the weather's getting nicer too, maybe we can get out, walk a little bit. I got to the point where I was like, if I read another self-help book, I'm going to hurt somebody. So I had to start going back to I just need a good fiction book. I need to just take my brain out of like, how can I be a better version of myself tomorrow than I am today? Like, I just want to be. And I think I try to remember, be where your feet are, be a human being, not a human doing. And we're
Yeah.
all pushed into doing something and meaning something and, giving to others. And what is our impact on the world? And it doesn't have to be an every day. It doesn't have to be that. So I feel like find a moment of peace for yourself, whatever that might look like.
Yeah.
That's about the best I can offer. And I hope that helps somebody.
I think
It's
it's
helped
good.
me, a little bit here and there. So
I think it's just important to figure out who you really are without the stuff, and find small ways to be okay with that.
yeah, me too.
It just feels good when someone else has the same experience as you, because it makes you feel less crazy.
It is. I mean, it does. I'm not crazy. And I hope when people see this, they comment and share and say, no, you're not crazy. Please say that. I still need affirmation. So tell me
right?
I'm not crazy.
Old habits die hard.
I feel like I love what you're doing though. And I think that a platform where you can be real and be honest, and we all need that, especially as women and moms and working professionals and being spouses and partners to others. Like there's just so many expectations on us to do all the things. And another thing I could leave you with is you can do anything, but you can't do everything.
Mm.
And sometimes we try to do everything. And I think that that's something we all need to be mindful of, is that we can do it all, but we don't have to. We can't do everything perfectly either. So
Right.
that's okay.
I 100% agree.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And we will catch you next time.